But you can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed?
I played video games since I was 4. It was my favorite thing and still is. It's my only way of escaping this strange world full of weird TikTok trends and psychopathic world leaders. Now things has changed. I actually stopped enjoying playing video games. Just like when Peter lost his powers in Spider-Man 2 and I hate it. This is something I was hearing around the social media for some time. Most of the people I've been hearing started blaming microtransactions, loot boxes, battle passes and all that stuff, but I think they are ignoring a huge part of the problem. I know most of us common men agreed on hating the men in suits, the Succession guys, blaming video game companies for the disappearing of fun in video games. And I do agree to some point. Like, seriously, you look at your favorite game franchise and you see big companies just keep ruining it. It's like forcing you to watch a Jake Paul video, it's just torture. And there are many examples of this, from Assassin's Creed to Sonic. Not you, Sonic Mania will be always the cool one. The fact that games started giving up the experimental side and started focusing on making copies of the same thing is obvious, and I think the majority of gamers can agree that companies' inability to understand what consumers want is getting as annoying as Anakin in Attack of the Clones. Video games nowadays started forcefully including political agenda and sometimes even tricking players for easy profit. But if I'm going to be honest, we as players may also share the same problem, lack of experimenting, because most people these days tend to stick to one genre or two genres, like FPS games or open world RPGs, and then complain about how games are starting to get boring. But no, a big part of the problem is coming from you, my dear consumer. I know it's hard to come out of the strange shell that you put for yourself before you even know it, because like greedy capitalist evil corporations, we kinda also want something familiar. If you are used to fast-paced hack and slash action games, you are going to look at Persona and say, what the hell is this pile of garbage? It's disgusting, it looks so boring. But in fact, you missed the opportunity of getting into one of the best stories you can ever experience. I know there is the matter of taste. After all, people are different and their preferences are also different. But if you are truly no longer getting any enjoyment out of the games you play, then you have to try games that you are unlikely to play. Because let's all be clear here, in the last 3 years or so the same scenario always gets repeated. People get hyped for a new game and after it comes out they see that it was a disappointment and not worth the excitement. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Cyberpunk. It's just a sick joke. That of course doesn't mean that there wasn't any good games in the last few years, and this dude can agree.
Fuck the Oscars!
What I mean here is that new games will always come out. Games from your favorite franchise or your favorite genre. But if you only look at those, your sight will be so narrow and limited. So why don't we broaden our perspective? For example, let's suppose that you like FPS games and you started getting bored of the games you already have. So you start looking for more FPS games that you might like, and you take a good look and discover they're all the fucking same. It's like watching low-budget Egyptian movies. It's disgusting how all of them are alike. But what if we increase the range of our search? Let's look for something we never played before. You can try some racing games, maybe some Forza Horizon 5, or maybe some open world action RPGs like The Witcher 3. Check out the narrative driven games like The Walking Dead or The Last of Us. Please play The Last of Us. Maybe even go a little further to a beautiful heavenly world we call indie games. There you will find unique experiences and pure enjoyment. Try Hades, Hotline Miami, Stardew Valley, I don't know, just try something new. Maybe you won't like all of these, but I'm sure you will enjoy some of them if you try different games. Because if we look at indie developers for example, the case with them is different from AAA companies. Like I said in my indie games video, the main goal of indie developers is to create something special and enjoyable, not like AAA developers that search mainly for profit. Also, if you are going to try different games from your usual bubble of interests, they don't have to be new games, or even from the last decade. Believe me, if you open your mind to possibilities, you might even enjoy Bubsy 3D. It might give you brain damage. Personally, if I'm bored of the available games in my library, I just try classical praised games. I even played Chrono Trigger, and I absolutely loved it, even if it was literally made 11 years before I was born, when internet looked like this and people appreciated Dragon Ball. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I was born in the mid-2000s, so I am not an old school gamer, and I consider this a privilege, because there are tons of great classics I never played before, so that increased the number of games that I can play. I can try the old Final Fantasy games, Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid 1, and many other amazing titles that blew people's minds at those times. I know that old games do not look always so appealing, especially if you are my age, but try ignoring the dated graphics and the old game mechanics and focus on what made these games so special at those times. I understand how awful it can feel when losing passion in a hobby you practiced since you were a little kid, but players cannot always rely on game companies to make them the games they need, because most of the time they don't. We are so hungry for new games to the point that we buy whatever games they make, even if it is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. If we feel empty, unable to have fun doing the only thing that gave us comfort going through our lives, then the ones who should do something about it is us. Sure, you can say this game is not for me or I'm not a big fan of this genre, but the way I look at it is that each game is made for everyone until you give it a chance. Then you can see if you like it or not, except for PUBG 3D, that game is for psychopaths. And if I'm going to speak of my personal experience, this feeling kept bugging me until I did something unforgivable. I tried a game with turn-based combat, which was something I hated with passion, so you can imagine how desperate I was. And that game is Persona 5 Royal. Of course, I only tried it when I had no choice. I totally stopped being able to have fun playing games, and I didn't want to stop playing video games all at once, leaving myself in this void of loneliness where it's just me and my suicidal thoughts. So I opened Persona 5, and the first thing that I came across is the amazing opening, of course. At the time I just said, just for show, the game can't be actually good. Or can it? And that's where I came to realization that combat in games doesn't always have to be fast and dope, slaying demons with a cool dude wearing a red leather jacket who has an emo brother and family issues. After Persona 5, I played 4, and then 3. Those were like 3 hours of pure, unmatched entertainment, beautiful storytelling, and unforgettable characters. And from then to this day, I started trying all kinds of games. I liked some and I disliked some, but I totally ignored the factors of, is this game new or is it something I usually play? And I just started enjoying these different types of games, and that resulted in me retrieving my love for playing video games. Because when I look at it, the only reason that we used to have more fun playing video games when we were children is not because games at the time were better. Believe me, there are many great games that came out in the last decade or so, but it was because we used to try different games. Players didn't bound themselves to a single genre. We used to play literally anything that looked even a little cool. You will be just playing Minecraft, which is a game literally about breaking fucking cubes, and 2 seconds later you will be eating children in Ultimate Spider-Man. So overall, I guess what I mean is simply stop eating Fortnite for breakfast and play some Puyo Puyo Tetris. And in the end, thank you internet people for watching this video. It was mainly meant to give you the solution that worked with me when I stopped enjoying games. I hope it works with you too if you are going through something like this. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment about what you think my next video should be about. And thank you.